I'm going to start with the bud, which actually will be pinker than the flower. I'm going to lay in the color and then just get my brush wet and bring it up to the end. This brush is an Aqua Elite round number 8, and it has a fantastic point. I'm making it light here instead of white like it is in the photo because I want you to be able to tell that you're looking at the bottom of the flower and not the inside. Now I'm excited and ready to start this middle part. Now it has quite a bit of blues, and I want to go to a soft brush, so I'm going to another quill. This is an Atelier Squirrel Blend quill. Middle is a very, very soft pink. See how watered down this is? It's like weak tea. There's that little white thing in the middle. And I'm going to go past where this goes. And then while it's damp, I'm going to go into some of this more magenta. I'm not worrying about the dividing lines right now. I'm just wanting to get some color in. Now here the line is kind of sharper, and it needs to be. And now I'm going to go straight into some of the purple. It's mixed with pink purple. That happens next. It's probably more pink than purple. It has all these cool nuances of color in it. And then we get some of the more royal blue, still mixed with a bit of purple, a little bit purple, royal blue. And it forms a quite sharp edge. I think it needs to be more purple than that. Now this isn't nearly dark enough. I'm going to have to get some thick purple for over here. And I'm going to go straight into this lovely little shadow. And as that goes towards the center, it gets almost white. And then I'll put some of these purple streaks in. Now this purple again is purple mixed with some magenta, because the purple itself is a very blue purple. And when you put paint onto damp paper, it spreads out, but holds its shape a little bit. If you put it onto very wet paper, it spreads out and doesn't hold its shape at all. Magenta is lovely, but it is not as bright as this backlit flower. If any of you have suggestions for a brighter color that would match this perfectly, please put it in the comments. After seeing this, I want to do a little bit of changing on these buds. And I'm going to make this just pinker. A little bit brighter. Now there's just a hint right around this little thing of a gray. So I've just added some green to the pink. And that's what makes that little center thing stand out, is the hint of gray around it. I think we'll get into the greens. Now this is quite dark, but it isn't as dark as the flower. I'm leaving these little white lines down. If you want to, you can do those lines in Frisket. And I have a video all about Frisket, that if you need some help in getting finer lines in Frisket. Now I believe we're ready for the background. I recommend walking away from a painting several times while you're painting it, and just look at it from across the room and see what you've missed. Your eye starts to not see what's really there. I'm going to start at the bottom and work myself up to a slightly lighter, just like it is in the picture, and add a little bit detail, but not as much as is in the photo, because that's quite cluttered looking. And I'm starting with some blue and green, not mixed on the palette, just one on one side of the brush and one on the other, so that they find their way around, and I'll dip it into other colors as I go to make a variegated look. Now by these brighter branches, I want it to be a bit darker so that they stand out. One of the things that happens with people just starting out is that they rinse their brush, and then while the brush is still pretty drippy wet, they put it into their paint, and then their paint gets watered down and they end up losing any ability to have detail. Okay, now I'm going to take off the tape. That's always fun. Once you have the tape off, you can see more what you have and what needs to be tweaked or not tweaked. And so it's better to do that before you count it finished. And if you really are fussy about your edges, you can put your tape back on once you've looked at it for a while. Now, one of the things I do at this point is I put it across the room from myself, because it's hard to see exactly what's happening when it's right under your nose for such a long time. And this is one thing that I saw right away. That shadow, even though that's in the picture, it stops this from looking like it's the back side of the flower. So I'm just going to take it out. I'm pretty pleased with the play of white in here, but in here seems like a bit of a dead area with no motion, and so I am going to put some darker greens into that. I'm going to actually get some of the hooker green and mix it with the sap green and just put some things, some random shapes. Probably, hopefully, sort of leafy shapes. This is Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White. You want to stick a very clean brush in it so that you don't get some other color in your jar besides white. And this you can mix with any color, and so I'm going to mix it with some of this lighter green, and I'm going to define the top of it a little bit. Now, just like watercolor paint, you can soften edges by running along it with a wet brush, and it does dry slightly see-through, so some of this brightness will disappear. So that gave us a lot more detail over there. And then I'm going to mix it with a little bit more green for some of these other places. Do some tidying up here and there so that we can see where these vines actually go. I just want to get the ones that are in the front to pop forward a little bit. So now the eye goes to the greatest contrast here, and that's where you really want it to be. This is the main subject of the painting. Now, one of the things that you can always do is you can add bokeh to a background, and it just does add something really wonderful. So you need a stencil like this and a stencil brush. So I'm using a small stencil brush. I could even use a smaller one than that. And I'm just going to put a few really little ones in some of these places. I get my brush wet, touch it to my sponge, and scrub. Now this green lifts fairly well, so I don't want to scrub hard. Some colors you'll want to, and I don't want these to pop off. And you have to wipe your stencil every time you do this. So let's put some up here. We're going to actually put 2. And these add a lot of charm to backgrounds. If you make them all the same size, it won't have that same charming effect. I think that's enough bokeh.